The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Good morning, people. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, and I gotta tell you, if the world was a rental car, we'd be arguing with the agent about the smoke coming out of the dashboard right now. I'm Mary Kane, and I am caffeinated enough to fight a bear.
And I'm Julian Archer. And Mary, I don't care about the smoke. I care about the fact that we're still winning the race. It is an action-packed day here in the studio. We have a lot of important developments to unpack, especially after yesterday's show where we saw the poetic justice of the Onion buying InfoWars. Honestly, I'm still buzzing from that.
Yeah, watching satirists dismantle a machine of lies was the first time in a decade I didn't feel like I needed a shower after reading the news. And we also touched on that Virginia redistricting mess and the billionaire Kevin Warsh's confirmation hearings. Oh, but today the plumbing is backed up in a much bigger way. We're talking maritime seizures in the Middle East, the House of Representatives losing members like a cheap suit loses buttons, and the FBI director apparently needing a SWAT team to wake him up for a morning briefing.
It's a circus, Mary. A high-stakes, terrifying circus.
Look, here's the deal. Let's start with the Middle East, because this Operation Epic Fury is turning into a total sinkhole. President Trump extended the ceasefire with Tehran late last night, basically telling them they got a few more days to play nice in Islamabad. But then, hours later, boom. The IRGC Navy seizes 2 major container ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
It is absurd! Hours after a ceasefire extension, the MSC Francesca and the Epaminondas are just gone? Reported heavy damage to the bridge on the Francesca because they actually fired on the ship.
You hate to see it, but I told you this would happen. According to the El País reporting, the IRGC is claiming navigation system tampering, which is just their way of saying we can jam your expensive toys whenever we want. This is what I've been screaming about. Operation Epic Fury is a failure of basic plumbing. We are out there using these high-tech, multi-million-dollar defense systems, and the Carnegie Endowment just released a report saying we're basically draining our own bank accounts to fight off drones that cost less than a used moped.
I mean, it's asymmetric warfare 101, Mary. We're bleeding cash while Iran just sits back and throws wrenches into the most sensitive gears of global trade.
Exactly. It's like trying to kill a swarm of fruit flies with a gold-plated sledgehammer. You're going to break the hammer before you get them all. The State Department's legal advisor is out here trying to justify the blockade. But look, we've got a total naval blockade of the Strait, and Iran is now threatening to shut down the Red Sea and the Gulf of Oman. We are protecting the oil lanes while the average worker in Queens is paying $7 for a gallon of gas because the supply chain is tied in the knot.
But Mary, the administration says this is about freedom of navigation. If we let the IRGC dictate who moves through the strait, the global economy isn't just in a knot, it's dead.
Freedom of navigation is a great slogan, Julian, but it doesn't mean much when you're effectively acting as a pirate to stop the other guy from being a pirate. We boarded an Iranian-linked tanker in the Indian Ocean last weekend. Tehran is calling it U.S. piracy. It's a backyard neighborhood feud played out with nuclear-capable warships. I'm not gonna lie, it's the most expensive plumbing repair in history, and it's not even fixing the leak.
It is truly an imperial presidency in overdrive. No War Powers Act, no congressional oversight, just Trump and his final negotiations while the world burns.
Speaking of congressional oversight, Julian, what the hell is happening on the Hill? I mean, I've covered some messy legislatures in my time, but this?
Oh, let me tell you, it is a total bloodbath. Sheila Cheerfulous McCormick, Democrat from Florida, resigned yesterday, literally minutes before the House Ethics Committee was going to vote to expel her.
You gotta love the timing.
It is absurd. 25 counts of misconduct. The Ethics Subcommittee found she stole and laundered $5 million in federal disaster relief and COVID funds. 5 million, Mary! And she apparently funneled it through a network of straw donors, including her own brother and her tax preparer, to win her 2021 special election.
Wait, that's the election she won by what, 5 votes?
5 votes! The whole thing was built on a foundation of sand. And now she's calling the investigation a witch hunt and claiming she shouldn't have to leave until her criminal trial in 2027. Spare me.
Are you kidding me with this woman? If a guy at the post office steals a book of stamps, he's gone. She steals $5 million in relief money meant for people suffering through a pandemic and hurricanes, and she wants to stay in a plush seat? It's a disgrace to the poor.
I'm telling you, the big 3 of resignations this week is unprecedented. We lost Eric Swalwell, we lost Tony Gonzalez, and now her. That's 3 in 8 days. The House is hemorrhaging members, and it's making the whole institution look like a crumbling tenement building.
It is a crumbling tenement building, but let's look at who's actually living in it. While the politicians are fleeing, the DOJ is being weaponized against the people who actually track the real villains. Look, here's the deal. I'm looking at this indictment of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh, don't get me started on this.
No, we're getting into it. Todd Blanche and Kash Patel, the FBI director, who we'll get to in a minute, they just hit the SPLC with an 11-count indictment. Wire fraud, money laundering. They're claiming the SPLC misled donors by using funds to pay secret payments to the very extremist groups they claim to oppose.
It is a total hit job. Kash Patel standing up there calling them a partisan smear machine. The SPLC has been the gold standard for tracking hate groups since I was in diapers.
Well, the DOJ is claiming they funneled $3 million to leaders of the KKK and the Aryan nations using shell companies like Fox Photography. Now look, I've been a war correspondent. I know how informants work. You have to pay the dirtbags to get the dirt. But to frame this as manufacturing extremism, that is a war on reality. It's an attempt to bankrupt and silence the primary watchdog of the American left.
It's a pincer move because at the exact same time, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, of course it's the Fifth Circuit, just ruled that Texas can require the 10 Commandments in every public classroom.
I mean, is there any part of the Constitution they haven't tried to use as a coaster for their coffee yet? The separation of church and state isn't just a suggestion, Julian.
They're calling it historical, broadcasters. They're saying it's not religious, it's foundational history. It is a blatant attempt to install Christian nationalism into the public square while using the DOJ to destroy anyone who might protest.
It's like they're trying to repave the national road with religious dogma and then arrest anyone who points out the potholes. It's efficient, I'll give them that. They're blinding the watchdogs and indoctrinating the kids in one fell swoop. And speaking of the kids, let's talk about the AD.
This is another one that just boils my blood.
Look, the Department of Justice just issued an interim final rule, which is a fancy way of saying they're doing an end run around the law, delaying the digital accessibility standards for another entire year. These were standards finalized back in 2024 to make sure public school websites and apps were actually accessible to people with disabilities.
The deadline was 48 hours away, April 24th, and they just pushed it to 2027 and 2028? It is absurd.
Sasha Podelsky over at the School Superintendents Association is out here saying it's because of financial stretch. Let me tell you something. If you can find money for a tactical armored vehicle for a town of 500 people, you can find the money to make sure a blind student can read their homework assignment on their iPad.
It's the wait for equality argument. Corb O'Connor from the National Federation of the Blind was quoted saying they've been told to wait again. 14 years of rulemaking, Mary. 14 years!
It's a digital wall, Julian. It's the same as if they built a staircase at the front of a school and didn't put in a ramp. They're just doing it with code instead of concrete. It's a civil rights violation, plain and simple. And they're doing it because they can. They know the courts are stacked, and they know the DOJ is currently led by, well, let's talk about who's leading. leading.
You mean the MIA director?
Honestly, Julian, are you kidding me with this guy? The Atlantic just dropped a bombshell on FBI Director Kash Patel. Investigative reporter Sarah Fitzpatrick spoke to 24 officials, and the picture they paint is a man who is literally incapacitated half the time.
The breaching equipment story! I couldn't believe I was reading that!
They literally had to call in tools designed for SWAT teams, breaching equipment, to get into his room because his security detail couldn't wake him up. This is the guy in charge of our domestic security? He's having alcohol-fueled nights in Vegas and D.C. and missing high-level briefings on Iran because he's out cold behind a locked door?
And then the computer lockout. I'm telling you, it's like something out of a bad sitcom. He gets locked out of his FBI terminal, panics, and starts calling allies because he thinks he's been fired.
It's a technical freak-out for a guy who thinks he's a tech-savvy disruptor. He's out there leading a war on reality, but he can't even navigate a password reset without having a breakdown. Ugh. Schumer and Durbin are demanding records. They're calling for an investigation. But look, as long as he's Trump's guy, he's untouchable. It's the ultimate example of the buddy system destroying the institution.
It's terrifying, Mary. We have a man who is reportedly frequently incapacitated, holding the keys to the most powerful surveillance apparatus in the world. FISA Section 702 is still a nightmare. The FBI is being used as a partisan hammer, and the guy at the top needs a sledgehammer to wake up for work.
It's more of that digital snake oil my nephew Vector is always peddling on the Neural Daily. High-tech surveillance, AI-driven policing, it all sounds very impressive until you realize the guy running the server is asleep at the wheel. And the same thing is happening in the housing market, Julian. Did you see this 3D printed housing hoax?
Oh, the silver bullet for homelessness. Companies like Icon and Branch Technology getting hundreds of millions in venture capital.
Exactly. And then you look at the actual math. 3D printing only handles the shell, the framing and the drywall. That's 10 to 20% of the cost. It does absolutely nothing to address land speculation, high interest rates, or the basic fact that for-profit developers are just pocketing the savings.
It's a structural fix for a regulatory issue. Exactly.
It's a class problem, Julian. In Chattanooga, they're building these experimental curiosities while the median rent has surged 54%. It's tech-saviorism at its worst. It's like trying to fix a leaky dam by painting a picture of a plug on.
And while they're printing houses, the global economy is taking a gut punch from the airline industry. Lufthansa just canceled 20,000 flights, jet fuel at $209 a barrel because of the Strait of Hormuz conflict.
Ugh. It all comes back to the plumbing. The war in the Middle East is driving up the fuel prices are killing the airlines, and the airlines are the front line of the global economy. It's a top-down class war, and the working class is the one getting grounded while the elites are printing concrete mansions and hiding in their penthouses.
Look, before we get to the main event, the 2026 midterms, we have to take a second. Look, independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We are 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. He's not a media conglomerate. He is a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations. If you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running.
Oh, Eric's the real deal. He's a guy who actually knows how to use a wrench, unlike most of the people we talk about on this show. But okay, Julian. Let's talk about the big one. The 2026 midterms. We are officially out of the preseason and into the high-stakes reality show.
Oh, it's a realignment, Mary. I can feel it in my bones.
Is that your bones or just the scotch? Look, here's the deal. We've got 35 GOP retirements. 35! The House majority is more vulnerable than a cardboard umbrella in a thunderstorm. And now we've got these musical chairs redistricting crises in Virginia and never-Trump Republicans running as Democrats.
Like Olivia Troy, former counterterrorism advisor to Mike Pence. She just launched her campaign for Congress in Virginia's redrawn 7th District.
See, this is the part where you and I might have a little neighborhood feud of our own, Julian. Troy is running as a proud Democrat. She's branding herself as MAGA's top enemy. Now look, I get the appeal. I saw the chaos firsthand. I'm the insider who turned. It's a great story for a paperback, but is it a great story for the Democratic base?
Mary, come on. She is a high-level official who was willing to stand up and say this is wrong. We need a big tent. We are fighting against an authoritarian tide. If she wants to hold the line in Virginia, I say give her the sword and let her swing it.
I'm just saying, let's not forget where that sword was swinging before. She was part of that administration. I'm wary of turning our party into a sanctuary for people who only found their conscience once the building started to smell like smoke. We have Dorothy McAuliffe in that same primary, real Democratic roots. Why are we so eager to embrace the GOP's refugees instead of our own bench?
Because we need to win, Mary. Politics is a game of numbers. If Troy can flip moderate voters who are terrified of MAGA but skeptical of progressives, that's a seat we take. It's about the soul of America, but you can't save a soul without a majority in the House.
Winning is one thing, Julian, but holding the line on our actual beliefs is another. If we become GOP light just to win the suburbs, what if we actually won? It's like replacing a lead pipe with a plastic one. It works for a while, but it's not exactly a long-term solution for the neighborhood.
I love your metaphors, but look at the alternative. Vivek Ramaswamy just launched a $10 million ad blitz in the Ohio governor's race. $10 million!
$10 million for a preseason race? Are you kidding me? He's out there with ads attacking Dr. Amy Acton and trying to rewrite the history of March 2020. It's pure populist theater. It's high-octane nonsense designed to keep the base angry and the donors opening their checkbooks.
And that's the competition, Mary. That's what we're up against. A billionaire-backed, high-tech populist surge in the Midwest and a fracturing GOP in the East. This is the realignment. The lines aren't just shifting. They're being erased and redrawn in permanent marker.
It's a war on reality, Julian. That's what it is. Whether it's Vivek in Ohio or the SPLC indictment or the 3D printed housing scam, it's all about creating a narrative that the elite can control while the plumbing of democracy literally rots beneath our feet. But I gotta say, the Virginia special elections, the Washington model, where they're actually talking about millionaire taxes to fund a social safety net, that gives me a little bit of hope. It proves that if you actually govern for the workers, you can hold the line.
Exactly. We have to be the happy warriors. We show the contrast. On one side, you have the breaching equipment director and the piracy in the Gulf. On our side, you have actual governance, civil rights, and a vision for the future that doesn't involve a 10 Commandments poster in a third-grade classroom.
Well, let's hope the voters can see through the smoke, Julian, because it's getting thick in here.
That's the fire of democracy, Mary!
No, Julian, I think that's just the espresso machine. Look, that's our show for today. The stakes are high, the GOP is coming for our rights, and the plumbing is a mess. But we're here, and we're not going anywhere.
We are holding the line. Like, subscribe, and stay angry, folks. We'll see you tomorrow for another round for you.
Stay sharp.